The Super Bowl halftime show is a monumental stage, a platform where culture is not just displayed but defined for a global audience. So when Bad Bunny, a proud Puerto Rican artist, took that stage, it was a moment of immense significance. It was meant to be a vibrant celebration of Latin culture, a declaration of its power and beauty. The surprise came when Lady Gaga appeared as his primary guest. The immediate reaction was not universal celebration, but confusion and, for some, deep disappointment. The question echoed across social media: why her? This was not a critique born from a vacuum. Bad Bunny's career is full of collaborations with Latina artists: Cardi B, Rosalía, Karol G. The stage could have been shared with many women who represent the culture being celebrated. The decision to instead feature a white artist felt to many like a missed opportunity to elevate one of their own on a platform that has historically excluded them. The controversy wasn't just a guest choice, it was about symbolism. In a performance billed as Latin pride, including a non-Latina at the center raised questions about representation. For many, a unifying moment became a point of contention. It forced a conversation about who stands in the spotlight and why those choices matter to the communities being honored. The performance itself included Ricky Martin and imagery, like sugarcane fields pointing to Puerto Rico's colonial past. Yet Gaga's presence became the focal point, overshadowing other elements. Critics and fans dissected the decision as reflecting deeper societal dynamics. The conversation moved from music to the politics of appearance and the question of what it takes for Latin culture to be deemed worthy on its own terms. It was a question asked not to diminish a single artist, but to understand the larger forces at play. To understand the depth of the reaction, one must grapple with the concept of proximity to whiteness. This is the idea, born from centuries of colonization. Value acceptance, success. For generations, this dynamic has shaped the Americas. It created a hierarchy placing European features and cultural norms at the apex, forcing marginalized communities to assimilate or risk being ignored. The belief was that to be seen, to be successful, one needed the validation or association of whiteness. This is a painful legacy, a shadow that stretches into the present day. Media, politics, art. When a powerful Latin artist like Bad Bunny chooses a white artist for his most visible performance, some see this historical pattern repeating itself. It can feel, to them, like an unconscious admission that, even at the height of his power, a connection to a white superstar is necessary to legitimize his presence on the world stage. It is not about Lady Gaga's personal intent, but about the structure she represents in that moment. It recalls the Latin explosion of 1999, Ricky Martin, Enrique Iglesias. They had to cross over, largely by singing in English, to achieve mainstream American success. Bad Bunny's rise was celebrated because he defied that rule, achieving global stardom while staying true to his language and identity. This choice, then, feels like a contradiction to some observers. If the goal is to show that Latin culture is powerful enough on its own, why introduce a figure from outside that culture as a co-headliner? The performance could have been a definitive statement that the era of needing a white cosign is over. Instead, for some, it felt like a step back into that old dynamic, a subtle reinforcement that a Latin-centric celebration still requires a familiar white face for a mass audience. This is the heart of the colonization critique. The act mirrors the colonial need for the colonized to seek approval from the colonizer's world. Of course, a different interpretation exists. One could argue Bad Bunny's choice was an act of post-colonial confidence. Perhaps his position is so secure he feels free to collaborate with anyone he admires. Inviting Lady Gaga is not about seeking validation, but about demonstrating that Latin music, specifically salsa as she performed it, has become a global language. It is a claim of cultural ownership so complete that the music can be shared generously. But for those who still feel the sting of historical marginalization, that generous act can look and feel like giving away a hard-won moment of visibility. The impact of such a moment is felt most acutely by the youngest viewers, particularly the young Hispanic girls watching from home. In it, they hope to see reflections of themselves, their families, their culture celebrated. When they saw Lady Gaga, with her blonde wig and fair skin, taking center stage in a performance meant to honor them, the message could be confusing and disheartening. The visual contrast between her and the rich diversity of skin tones, hair textures, features within the Latino community was stark and impossible to ignore. It raises a silent, painful question. Is this what success is supposed to look like? The styling choices further complicated the issue. Gaga's attire, which some interpreted as a take on traditional Spanish dress, combined with her appearance, risked tipping into the realm of costume or stereotype. When an outsider adopts cultural symbols, there is a fine line between appreciation and appropriation. For many young people struggling to find pride in their own natural appearance, in their brown skin, their dark hair, their unique features, seeing a white woman presented in this context can reinforce a harmful narrative. It can subtly suggest that their own authentic look is not enough for the main stage, and that a Europeanized version is more acceptable or beautiful. This is not a theoretical harm. It has real-world consequences. It affects self-esteem and the sense of cultural worth. When media consistently elevates a single standard of beauty, it teaches children from other backgrounds that they are somehow less than. The Super Bowl stage has the power to counteract this, to present a bold, unapologetic vision of diverse beauty and talent. The disappointment stemmed from the feeling that this specific performance, which held so much promise, ultimately fell back on a conventional and less challenging visual. It left many wondering what a young Latina girl learns when the woman chosen to represent her world looks nothing like her. Bad Bunny's own work has often been a powerful antidote to this. His music and videos are filled with authentic representations of Puerto Rican life, celebrating the everyday people, places of his home. He has actively challenged beauty standards and colonial mindsets through his art. This history of cultural advocacy is precisely why his choice felt so jarring to many of his admirers. It seemed to deviate from his established message of radical self-acceptance and cultural pride. The moment created a dissonance between the artist's celebrated politics and his actions on the grandest stage of his career, leaving his audience to grapple with the conflicting messages. Ultimately, every artist possesses the freedom to create their vision and collaborate with whomever they choose. Bad Bunny's decision may have come from genuine artistic admiration for Lady Gaga, a desire to blend genres, a wish to make a statement about music's universal power. No one can, or should, deny him that creative autonomy. The performance was a global event. Perhaps he believed that including an international icon like Gaga was a way to build a bridge between cultures, sharing a piece of his world with hers. In this light, the collaboration can be seen as an act of unity, not exclusion, a testament to friendship and mutual respect between two musical giants. However, artistic choices, especially on a platform as influential as the Super Bowl, are never made in a vacuum. They are received and interpreted within a complex social and historical context. The choice matters because representation matters. For communities that have fought for generations to be seen and heard, to have their culture respected on its own terms, each moment of visibility is precious. The debate is not an attack on an individual artist's character, but an honest and necessary inquiry into the impact of their choices. It asks us to consider whether a particular action serves to empower a marginalized community, or inadvertently reinforces the very structures that have held it back. We must also acknowledge the other powerful statements made during the show. The opening with the sugarcane fields was a direct reference to the colonial exploitation of Puerto Rico. The inclusion of Ricky Martin performing a song that critiques colonization was a bold political act. These elements were intentional and deeply meaningful, aiming to educate a massive audience about Puerto Rico's reality. The central conflict is whether the inclusion of Lady Gaga amplified this message or diluted it, whether her presence helped deliver the critique of colonialism to a wider audience or, ironically, became a symbol of it for those most attuned to its nuances. The performance leaves us with an open and vital question, one that extends far beyond a single night of entertainment. It is a question for all creators, leaders, and communities. In moments where you have the power to shape the cultural narrative, who do you choose to lift up? When you are given a stage to tell your story, does including an outsider help build bridges? Or does it take a seat away from someone within your own community who has never been given a chance to sit at the table? Did this choice ultimately advance the cause of cultural pride and self-determination, or did it subtly echo a long and painful history of seeking validation from the outside? The answer, like the performance itself, is complex, and it is one we must all consider.